The season is done, man. Like, dude, I can't even... So, it's tough to say it after 7 games played. I know that. This team has the potential to maybe go on a 10-game winning streak and force themselves back into the wildcard spot. That's very well possible. In fact, I hope I'm wrong. But this video, dude, I feel like it somewhat had to be made in a way, mostly because the Montreal Canadiens have just been really, really bad. They played Seattle last night, and the game was cool. We saw that 1917 Stanley Cup Seattle Metropolitans banner being raised, which I honestly do think is appropriate just because of the historical significance of that Stanley Cup win. Again, remember, Seattle was the very first American team to win the Stanley Cup. Not New York, not Detroit, not Chicago, not Boston, not whatever. It was Seattle. And Montreal played the Kraken, the 2021 version of the Seattle hockey team, yesterday and got absolutely smoked. Aside from Mike Hoffman, this Canadiens team really did not show up, and this was one of those games where a lot of the people who are in Montreal, who are watching this game because it was played in Seattle, honestly, you probably are better off just sleeping in. Like, I get it, 10 p.m. to watch a hockey game kind of sucks, and as a guy who lives here on the West Coast, I never have to experience that, except, of course, during international tournaments like the World Juniors or the Olympics sometimes, but staying up consistently to watch this road trip that the Canadiens are going to go on and watching quality hockey like this, yeah, it doesn't really seem like a good use of your time. And that's not to be mean to the Montreal Canadiens. That's not because I hate the Montreal Canadiens. We all kind of know this is my second favorite team over here. I know all the players, I know all the stories, or most of the stories at least, and I love this team. It's just, even though I like Cole Caulfield, I like Suzuki, I like the personalities on the ice, and I care for these guys, and I want to see them succeed, just because I like Caulfield, and I like Sami Niku, and I like Josh Anderson, and I like all the guys, it does not mean they're devoid from criticism. And the way this team has been playing so far, you could tell, hey, criticism is absolutely deserved. They're getting outcoached in every game. They're getting outplayed in every game. They're getting outscored in every game except for one, and getting a consistent amount of offense from this team is so rare that all an opposing team needs to do is score like 2 or 3, and there's a very good chance they're going to beat Montreal. If you take a look at the Money Puck odds right now, I know everybody likes to flack on Money Puck, but the odd times that they are right, it's usually in very underdog circumstances, like they did predict Montreal to beat Pittsburgh with a 60-something% odds back in the 2020 bubble. They have Montreal's playoff odds at 24.3 right now, and 24.3, in my opinion, is way too gosh darn high. If you take a look at the NHL standings and you take a look at the points percentage amongst the league, Montreal ranks 3rd last. Only Chicago and Arizona, the 2 winless teams, have a better point percentage than the Montreal Canadiens right now. Or excuse me, a worse point percentage than the Montreal Canadiens right now. So, for the Money Puck odds to say that Montreal has a 24.3% chance of making the playoffs in this stacked Atlantic division, and with the way this team has been performing so far, it kind of tickles my funny bone a little bit to see this go down. I mean, look at where the rest of the league is at. Actually, no, not the league. Let's just take a look at the Atlantic. To get into the playoffs, you need at least 7 points right now. That's the tie for the wild card in this division, and if you take a look at the opposite Metropolitan Division, hey, 7 points would not even actually crack it because there are 3 teams outside the top 3 in the Metro that have 7 or more points. So the Atlantic Division is a lot easier actually than the Metro at the moment. Can the Canadiens get themselves up to a 4th or 3rd place spot in this Atlantic team within the next week or two? I mean, it's mathematically possible, it's just very unlikely. In fact, continue that hypothetical until the end of the season. Sure, anything can happen in an 82-game year, Montreal can get super hot and all that, but we've seen this before, where the starts of a team can really dictate how things go down in the end. Somebody want to be a kind sir or madam, and let me know in the comments, what exactly is that stat that people were talking about earlier on in the season, where we kind of get that equalization point in the year where the NHL standings are more or less going to stay constant with what they are? Is it partway in November? Is it after November? Is it in the middle of December? At what point do the NHL standings reach a somewhat equilibrium where it's gonna pretty much stay the same for the rest of the year. Because, it happens all the time, right? Not every year you get yourselves a St. Louis Blues team that is last in the league and then eventually makes the playoffs and then eventually wins the cup. It doesn't happen like that. Mostly. And so, for the Montreal Canadiens, I honestly do think it's not going to happen here. I don't know if this team is going to make the playoffs. In fact, I don't think they are, just based off of the quality of their play. But right now, you take a look at the Money Puck odds. 24.3% at making the playoffs. You know how unrealistically high that is, in my opinion? If that was a casino game, you'd look at a casino game, a slot machine, or a roulette table, or I don't even know if that applies, roulette, because I don't actually gamble, so I don't really know. But if you had a casino game that had a 24.3% odds at actually getting a good payout, you'd say, darn, those are pretty good odds right there. You see how difficult it is to comprehend the 24.3% number right now? Based off of that, those are very high odds, and I do think that Montreal is kind of favored in this Money Puck model a little bit too highly, because we know they are. They have been over the past few seasons. They had the Montreal Canadiens winning the Stanley Cup after Game 6 or whatever of the Montreal-Vegas series, and when Tampa Bay and New York went to Game 7, that's when the model was okay, Montreal's going to win the Cup based off of our math here, because they play a possession-style game, and we really, really like that. And we all kind of know what happened. The Canadiens showed up in the finals, sort of, but they really didn't show up, I get it, they're playing Tampa. It's tough to show up against Tampa Bay and actually look good in the process, which the Canadiens didn't really. They were just there. But now, this team that went to the finals is in this 1-6-0 losing slump, and they are last in their Atlantic Division for a reason here, so again, 25% odds. Pretty high. If we go over the individual point race of the Montreal Canadiens and see who's getting the points, it's the same guys that we all kind of expected to be there at the top. And granted, it's not really going to change all too much because the Canadiens don't really score all too many goals in general, but that 5-goal game really did kind of inflate everything. But either way, it's still not great at the moment. 5 points in 7 games for Duran, 4 points in 6 games for Perreault, that hat-trick included, by the way. Dvorak's at 3 points, Hoffman is at 2 goals in 4 games, and then Toffoli, Sherratt, Niku, Kulak, Suzuki, all at 2 as well. And this is kind of where you have to take a look at it and say, okay, it's been 7 games. Cole Caulfield has 1 assist. Josh Anderson has 1 assist. Brendan Gallagher, he's got 1 assist. You have Nick Suzuki at 2 assists and 0 goals. Where in the world are the goal scorers of this team? Tyler Toffoli, Josh Anderson, Cole Caulfield, Brendan Gallagher, and Nick Suzuki, to me, were all 20-goal guaranteed guys. Maybe some of them even reaching 30, maybe Anderson in a full season, maybe Caulfield, not even maybe, Brendan Gallagher has had 30 goals before. So, this team, dude, they're just not gelling in the right ways, and we all know that slow starts can be the downfall of some NHL teams this early on into the season especially. Jeff Petrie has gone out there with 0 points in 7 games played. He was supposed to step up because Shea Weber was out, but maybe not getting those sheltered minutes anymore was a little bit more of a negative than a positive. Jake Allen has had an .890 save percentage in the 6 games he has played and a .304 goals against average, which is a terrible number, but if you were watching these games, Jake Allen has bailed out the Canadiens a lot throughout the season so far. So if there's anybody that I'm gonna critique and call out as a bad player so far on this team, it's definitely not gonna be Jake Allen. And in fact, it's more than just one individual player, it's the whole team. It's the coaching, it's the deployment, it's the strategies. They're not gonna make the playoffs at this rate. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope this video ages like milk, and it eventually loses out its touch because the Canadiens go on a winning streak that pushes them to the top of the Atlantic, and they hold that spot for the rest of the year. But even Money Puck is 25% odds. It's good casino game odds, but it's still too gosh darn high for a team that's 3rd last in the NHL in points percentage at the moment. Talk to me in the comments, what do you think about the Montreal Canadiens and whether or not they will make the playoffs. I hope you enjoyed this Rosén 99. And bye.